Day 3 of the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. War with Iran. President Donald Trump told CNN the big wave of the U.S. attack on Iran is yet to come. Trump laid out his war objectives for reporters, saying he wanted to destroy Iran's missile capabilities, annihilate its navy, end its nuclear ambitions and stop it arming militant groups. On the ground, Iran and its proxies are continuing to strike U.S. allies in the Gulf, with the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia hit by suspected Iranian drones, booms heard in Iraq and sirens sounding over Bahrain. Israel, meanwhile, is striking Hezbollah targets in Beirut. Americans warned. The U.S. State Department urged U.S. citizens to leave the Middle East immediately. Trump told CNN, the biggest surprise of the war has been Iran's attacks against Arab countries in the region. Iran's foreign minister said the American people deserve better and should take back their country, mirroring Trump's repeated remarks to Iranians. Israel orders dozens more villages in South Lebanon to evacuate. Israel has issued evacuation orders for dozens more villages in southern Lebanon, adding to a similar list issued on Monday, as it continues strikes against Hezbollah. Israeli military spokesperson Avichai Adraei listed 50 villages and settlements in a post on X on Tuesday, urging residents to leave their homes. Hezbollah activities are forcing the Israel Defense Forces to act against it forcefully, and we have no intention of harming you, said the IDF announcement. It ordered affected residents to stay away from their villages by at least 1,000 meters, 3,280 feet, warning that anyone near Hezbollah facilities was endangering their life. It also reiterated an evacuation order for Beirut's southern suburb neighborhood of Harat Rake, and issued a new warning for a second suburb nearby. This comes after the IDF posted a similar evacuation order on Monday morning for 52 villages. Despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire in November 2024, Israel continues to strike targets in Lebanon, citing alleged Hezbollah violations, claims that the group denies. Smoke seen rising above Beirut suburbs. Plumes of smoke could be seen rising and explosions heard in the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital Beirut on Tuesday morning, according to video from Reuters news agency. The Israeli military earlier issued evacuation orders for dozens of Lebanese villages and settlements and said it had begun attacking Hezbollah targets in Beirut. Hezbollah said in a statement Tuesday it launched drones into Israeli territory, in response to Israel's bombing in Lebanese towns. The Israeli Air Force said earlier it intercepted 2 drones that crossed into Israeli territory from the direction of Lebanon early Tuesday. Here's how many missiles and drones Gulf nations have intercepted so far. The joint U.S.-Israel attack on Iran has triggered retaliatory strikes across the Middle East, including on countries hosting U.S. military bases. Strikes have hit urban centers, energy infrastructure, airports and hotels, shaking populations long used to relative security. Here's a look at how many missiles and drones the Gulf nations have reported since the war began. Kuwait has intercepted 178 ballistic missiles and 384 drones, according to state media Kuwait news agency on Monday. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, has intercepted 169 missiles out of 182 detected, with the rest landing in the sea. It has also intercepted 645 drones, with an additional 44 hitting within state territory, according to its Ministry of Defense. Bahrain has intercepted 70 missiles and 76 drones, state media reported on Tuesday, citing the General Command of the Bahrain Defense Force. Qatar has intercepted 101 missiles out of a total of 104 detected, as well as 24 out of 39 drones, and shot down 2 Iranian Su-24 bomber aircraft, according to the state-run Qatar news agency. Saudi Arabia hasn't released a total figure of missiles or drones intercepted. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh was hit by suspected Iranian drones, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter on Tuesday. The Ministry of Defense later said 8 drones were intercepted near the cities of Riyadh and Al-Kharj. Oman has long played a mediating role between Washington and Tehran, and has largely stayed out of the line of fire. But Oman's Duke commercial port was targeted by 2 drones on Sunday, and an oil tanker was attacked about 5 nautical miles off the coast of Masandam. U.S. envoy says by third meeting it was impossible to reach Iran deal before strikes. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff on Monday described the final, unsuccessful efforts to reach a nuclear agreement with Iran that ultimately collapsed ahead of the United States launching major combat operations over the weekend. President Trump sent me and Jared there to really determine on his behalf whether they were serious about doing a deal that addressed his objectives, Witkoff said, outlining a series of meetings he attended with Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, in Geneva aimed at curbing Tehran's nuclear program. According to Witkoff, The U.S. delegation proposed a decade-long halt to uranium enrichment. We discussed with them 10 years of no enrichment whatsoever, and we would pay for the fuel, he said. They rejected that, which told us at that very moment that they had no notion of doing anything other than retaining enrichment to the purpose of weaponizing. Witkoff said he and Kushner, who was tasked with brokering a deal with him, believed an agreement was likely unattainable by the end of the second meeting, but returned for a third round as a final effort. It was very clear it was going to be impossible, probably by the end of the second meeting, but then we went back to the third meeting just to give it the last college try, he said. They wanted us to report positivity, Witkoff added. It was not positive that meeting. The collapse of the talks led to Trump's announcement of joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Around the time of the operation, Trump publicly urged Iran to make concessions. They should make a deal, but they don't want to quite go far enough, he said Friday during a stop in Texas. They don't want to say the key words, "We're not going to have a nuclear weapon."